So bowl season is finally here, and we've got the first bowl game coming up in just a couple weeks, which is going to be the Autonation Cure Bowl between Tulane and Louisiana. Should make for a good game. Two teams that have been very similar to each other all season long. So Saturday, December 15th is when this game is going to take place at 12:30 p.m. Central Time in Orlando, Florida. The spread right now is Tulane winning it by 3.5 points. I think that's pretty accurate. It's kind of close. Of course, though, we've got plenty of time until the game, so I wouldn't be surprised if that spread changed somewhat. The ESPN FPI has a 66% chance of Tulane winning it. So that's pretty generous towards Tulane, but that's always what the FPI does. Very rarely is the FPI very close to both teams, unless it really is a good game. But the records for both these teams: Tulane is 6-6, Louisiana 7-6. They participated in the Sun Belt Championship game. These stats are as of Tuesday, December 4th. So now we're going to go over both of these teams' schedules real quick. Tulane, looking at their schedule, they had more of a tough one in my opinion. They play Wake Forest at the beginning of the season, which Wake Forest, they're a Power 5 team, but they're not very good, of course. Wake Forest, they lost to them in overtime, 23-17. That was a pretty good game to be able to keep up with a team like Wake Forest, a Power 5 team, for a team like in the Sun Belt. Normally, Sun Belt teams have a very hard time keeping up with these Power 5 teams. They went to UAB, and they were close to winning that game. If they won that game, that would have been a good one. Just because if UAB has been a pretty decent team this season, actually. They had to go to Ohio State, and of course, that didn't really turn out too well for them. They had a good win against Memphis. I think this is probably one of their key wins of the year, beating Memphis 40-24. This is what they really needed after a 1-3 start. But of course, it wouldn't get much better for them. As the first 7 games, they would go 2-5. Losses to SMU, Cincinnati. Of course, though, they played quite a few tough teams in those first 7 games. The last half of the season was pretty good. They went on a 3-game winning streak from late October to mid-November. They beat Tulsa, South Florida, and East Carolina. So that's South Florida. That was a pretty good win, I guess, too. 41-15. On the road, too, blowing out South Florida. Good win for them. Of course, at Houston, didn't really turn out too well for them, 48-17. And then they beat Navy to finish off the season. So looking at the schedule, my reaction to this, they've had a really, really bumpy season, it looks like. They kind of start off the season kind of slow. Then they had a really good win against Memphis, but then went to Cincinnati and got beat up pretty good. And then they lost to SMU. Of course, that's not a very good loss. And then they beat Tulsa, South Florida, and East Carolina. So that was another high point, losing to Houston and then to Navy. So been a little bumpy of a season for them. But of course, they were able to end the regular season with a win against Navy. Of course, Navy, not a very good team this year, but it's still a win. Now looking at Louisiana. So this team went 7-6. They went to the Sun Belt Championship game and they played Appalachian State. And they lost to them 30-19. But back to the regular season, they played Grambling to start off the season. Beat them up pretty good, 49-17. Then they had to go to Mississippi State and to Alabama within the next 3 weeks. That is not an easy schedule. They got destroyed by Mississippi State and destroyed by Alabama. Not much of a shocker there. The thing is that they also lost to Coastal Carolina between those 2 games. So this schedule, in my opinion, it is sort of tough. It's not as tough as Tulane's, I don't think. But the those first 2 games and the first 4 games, Mississippi State and Alabama, those 2 games, very tough for them. And I could see why. They played Appalachian State twice in the season. They played them on October 20th, and they lost to them 27-17. They started off the season, their first 7 games, they went 3-4. So it was a little bumpy of a start to the season, but they ended up going 7-6. They had a great 3-game winning streak to finish off the regular season. So they looked really good going into that Appalachian State game, but they were not able to pull it off. So yeah, that's both of these teams' schedules. Looking at these, this is now going to be my prediction. We got Tulane and Louisiana. I have at halftime, I think Tulane is going to get off to a fast start. I'm going to say first two or three possessions, they're going to start off quick and get a few touchdowns. Probably a field goal intermix in between there. They lead 24-14 at halftime. But the thing is, though, I think Louisiana is going to come back from that, from losing in the half. And they're going to end up winning this game 34-31. They're going to come back and win it. I think this is going to be an upset. I think Tulane is going to be favored pretty well in this game. knowing Tulane had a tougher schedule and they went 6-6. But Louisiana, of course, they went to the championship game. I think that they're going to have enough experience to be able to beat Tulane. So I think it's going to be a close game. It will be a good one to kick off the bowl season with a comeback for Louisiana. What are your thoughts on this game? Leave them in the comments below. I'm going to be going over all of the other bowl games, so just stay tuned for that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Show some support if you'd like to, and I will see you all later.